all through the story until the end. She was focused on that stone. While she was there coming in the dark, God had already raised Jesus. He had come out of the tomb already. God was working in the darkness. And I want to tell you today that God works in your darkness. Everything may look hopeless, may look bleak, may look dismal, but God is working things out on your behalf. She scans the tomb, the garden, and she sees the stone has been taken away. And she thought, my God, the stone is gone. What must I do? And we don't know why she turns around, but she turns right around and she says, I need some help here. Something is going on. And she goes and she gets Simon Peter, and she gets also this apostle who we will now call John. Out of breath, excited, frightened, amazed, and whatever emotions she may have, she tells them, I've been to the tomb and I see that the stone has been rolled away. And they ran behind her as fast as they could. One disciple outrunning the other. And they close up on the tomb. Now John, he didn't go in. But he stooped down and he looked inside. And there he saw the linen cloths. Mind you, in verse 5, he did not go inside. And as we are going through this chapter, I want you to notice the many times that John writes seen or saw. In verse 1, Mary saw the stone. And John is trying to help us to describe it. If he had a film camera, he would have focused in on these various points and articles, but he didn't, so he's using his words. And in verse 5, John saw the linen cloths lying there. Yet, he did not go in. And then in verse 6, we see again that the other disciple, this is Simon Peter, came following. He went into the tomb and he saw the linen cloths. So from the outside of the tomb, you could see the linen cloths. But the Bible says he went in, and there he also saw the handkerchief that had been around the head. So John is telling us exactly what is going on. We can imagine, we can picture it in our minds. They come to the tomb, they see the linen cloths, and then they saw the cloth that was wrapped around his head. And he tells us they're folded together in one place. The next verse tells us again. Verse 8. Then the other disciple who came to the tomb first went in also, and he saw and believed. So he saw all the other things that Simon Peter saw, and he believed. Now we assume that he believed that Jesus Christ is risen. Bible doesn't say what he believed, but most likely he believed, yes, this is true. He is certainly not here. The tomb is empty. He is gone. But the other disciple went away again, for yet as he did not know the scripture that then the disciples went away again to their own homes. So we're not sure what Simon Peter believed, but they left. They thought, this is bad. This is sad. He's gone. We thought we could find him in the tomb, but he is not here anymore. He's gone. One believed, and we believe that he believed that he's risen. He's not here. He's gone. The other disciple, we don't know what he believed. And they thought, this is over. We've seen it. We've had it. It's done. And they left. They left poor Mary there by herself. That's why usually on Resurrection Day, I like to preach about the women. Because the women are the ones that held on, that didn't give up, that were not afraid. My. Can you imagine? The men, big strapping men, hiding, running. But the women, they faced the soldiers. They faced the fear. So here, Simon, Peter, John, they went home. Bye-bye, Mary. You can stay there if you want. 11 says, but Mary stood outside by the tomb weeping. And as she wept, she stooped down and looked in the tomb. Mary didn't give up that quickly. Mary thinks that something is going on. They have stolen his body. And I'm going to find it. Come what may, I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to find this body. She doesn't know where to start. So she goes to the tomb and she looks in and she sees, yes, Simon, Peter, and John, they were right. I do see the linen cloth. I do see the handkerchief that had wrapped his head. So she was weeping, she was crying. But as she continued looking, we see in verse 12 that she saw something else. So John is now focusing in on something else that's in the tomb. She saw two angels. And these angels were dressed in white. One at the head and the other at the feet where the body had been laid. And they began to talk to her. And they said, woman, why are you weeping? And she said, they might know. So she wastes no time. She said, because they have taken away my Lord, I do not know where they have laid him. That is her concern. He is not there. They have taken him away. Where have they laid him? And she's making a statement, but at the same time, I'm sure, hoping that they would give her an answer. And they did. Now, when she had said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there and didn't know that it was Jesus. Mary saw the angels. Then she saw Jesus. But through her weeping, and her mind was fixed. His body is stolen. She didn't realize he was alive. So she wasn't looking for a live Jesus. Anybody who was in that garden, who was around, could not be Jesus, because she saw when they laid him in the tomb. She saw that they rolled the stone in front of the tomb. And so she believes that he should have been there, but his body isn't there, so someone has taken him away. He could not have done it himself. Up there further, we read that they did not yet know the scripture, understand the scripture, that he must rise again from the dead. So Mary saw the missing stone, and then she saw nothing she didn't see the body in the tomb. And then she looked again and she saw two angels. And when she looked around again, she saw what she assumed was the gardener. And she says to the gardener, notice how John is just helping us to see the scene through the eyes of Mary and through the eyes of Peter and through the eyes of John. Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you seeking?" And she, supposing him to be the gardener, said to him, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." Mary is persistent. She's going to find him come what may. She knows that her mission, her goal, is to find Jesus, to seek him out. I wonder if we are that persistent when we are in trouble. Mary is in trouble. She is fearful. The body has been stolen. She doesn't know what's going on. And her goal is to find Jesus. I wonder if that's our goal. When we are in trouble, we will find everybody else. We will do everything else. And the last person we will look for is Jesus. The first person that we should actually be looking for is Jesus. Yes, others are going to come. They're going to be there. But Jesus is the one. She looked for the disciples. They couldn't help her. She asked the angels. They didn't help her. Here's the gardener. Surely he should know. He turned out to be the Jesus she was looking for. But what I want to show us, that she was persistent in her trouble, in her dark moments, in her adversity. Her goal was to get to Jesus, to see Jesus. And that should be the way we should be when we are going through our situations and our troubles and our trials and our dark times and our adversities. Jesus should be the one we're looking to and looking for. So she looks at the gardener and says, "Gardener," what she thinks is the gardener, if you've carried him away, tell me where you've laid him, and I will take him away. Imagine Mary. Maybe she was a strong woman, but she wasn't looking and asking for help. She said, "I am going to take him away. You just tell me where he is. I am going to find him." And so often when we find him, we need to accept him and receive him and bring him into our lives, because there is where he wants to be. He says, "I'm going to walk with you." As the songwriter says, "I will talk with you. I'm going to just assure you that you're my own. I'm going to come with you. I will take him away." And then he says to her, "Mary." And she turns and realizes that it is Jesus. And she is so happy that she begins to touch him and to cling to him. And he says, "No, please, don't touch him. Don't touch me. I have not yet ascended to my Father in heaven." So here we are. We see the various C's. But in verse 18, I want you to see that she has reached her goal. She saw the tomb. She saw the disciples. She saw the linen cloth. She saw the angels. She saw the gardener, who turned out to be Jesus himself, speaking to her, assuring her that it is he who is going to go to her Father and his Father, who's going to go to his God and to go to her God. And she rushes back to the disciples in verse 18, and she says that she has seen the Lord. I tell you, he was around. I can see her boasting to those disciples, especially the one who had given up, those who